Hello and welcome to the Financial Industry Summit hosted by the Africa CEO Forum, and welcome to all of you on all our platforms as we kick off the second day. My name is Eleni Jokos. I'm a correspondent for CNN. I'm really delighted to announce that we're starting off with a special report that has been conducted by Deloitte in partnership with the Africa CEO Forum. And its aim was to gauge the mindset of executives in the financial industry during the pandemic. They covered 6 topics on strategy, corporate governance, the regulatory environment, and importantly, innovation. And by the way, this is the first time that this kind of report has been put together, a wide-scale barometer of this nature in Africa. So really excited to be sharing that with you in a short while. We also have an incredible lineup of conversations planned for you throughout the day. I'll be hosting a currency panel right after this opening session, and we also have new formats in the lineup. You can join us for deep dives into business cases. We've prepared a few of those, including on fraud and cybersecurity risks. And later on, we'll have one focusing on digital transformation. But take a look at the program for today. It's really fantastic. We have incredible guests and, of course, giving you insights on all the topics that matter during this time. We also have a few intimate fireside chats planned. These are one-on-one sessions with some key executives from around the continent. And of course, we have the normal panel format, a few of them coming up on fintech, on non-performing loans, and also one on frontier markets. So just to give you a few thoughts on the first day of the summit yesterday, during this unprecedented time, banks and the financial sector have played a vital role, a big link between government stimulus and moving money into the hands of businesses as well as people. And yesterday we had the opportunity to see some of those numbers. Yes, they are stark and they do paint an enormously challenging environment, from remittances dropping to a rise in non-performing loans, and of course an increase in some of those risks. But what we have heard is that banks are ready to expand. They're ready to pump liquidity into the market. And of course, the financial industry wants to work closely with governments and regulators to ensure a stable sector and assist with economic recovery goals. Another outcome that we heard yesterday is the financial sector is willing to work together and collaborate. And we're hearing about partnerships coming through, a shift from seeing each other as competitors, but actually as partners during this time of crisis. One quote that also stood out for me yesterday, we need to think not only about financial inclusion, but also financial health. So on that note, I'd like to welcome our guest this morning that will be sharing the Deloitte and Africa CEO Forum report with us. We also have a Q&A session after this presentation, and you can post any questions and thoughts you might have in the box. Right, so I'd like to welcome Brice Charles, the CEO of Deloitte Francophone Africa. We also have Aristide Ouattara, Risk and Advisory Lead Partner at Deloitte Francophone Africa, and you are going to give us a presentation on the report. Delighted that you could join us, and I hand over to you, both of you now. Thank you.
Thanks, Eleni. Good morning, everyone. I'm the CEO of Deloitte Francophone Africa, and really delighted to share with you today the results of our first Pan-African Financial Industry Survey. It is really the purpose of Deloitte as a global and African leader to provide transparency and qualitative data to the different stakeholders for the strategic decision process, in particular in the financial sector, which could be considered as a critical infrastructure, ecosystem, and vital enabler for economic and societal growth in the continent. Last month, we had the chance to survey 60 CXOs of African financial institutions, a very, as you would see on the next slide, a very representative panel in terms of size, activity, banking and insurance, and also regional presence. On the next slide, I would like first to share 2 main takeaways from the survey. This is probably the slide before. The first one, transform, adapt, and operate, highlights the strong willingness and ongoing transformation of their business model, governance, risk management capabilities in a highly challenging context in terms of macroeconomic uncertainties, regional integration opportunities, and evolving regulation and risks like cyber, digital services, personal data protection, for instance. The second takeaway, innovate, lead, and impact, highlights their strong appetite for innovation, the key role they want to play in terms of financial inclusion, and their increasing interest in green and sustainable finance. Now, Aristide Ouattara, who leads our risk advisory practice in Francophone Africa, will make a deep dive into those results.
Many thanks, Grace, for this introduction. And on the next slide, I will start by the first topic that we addressed in this survey. Naturally, we asked the question to the financial institution on the impact of the COVID-19 on their business model. So on a short-term perspective, they, in a large majority, express that the digitalization of internal and external activities is their top priorities. So this is not a surprise, and this is consistent with what Eleni said in her introduction regarding this important topic. On a long-term perspective, the findings were quite interesting in the respect that they, regardless the type of financial institution, they see sustainable transformation coming through this COVID-19. But if you look at sub-sectors, banks are keen to see more growth opportunities compared to the other, but at the same time, they have identified some concern that might fragilize their business model. Next slide. On the next slide, we have also asked the appetite for this financial institution to what we call the open banking and the open answering approach. This is especially dedicated to the traditional financial institution. As Eleni also highlighted, the need to partner with the new player is central in the development of this financial institution, and that's what we call open banking and open answering. That is opening your IT system to other partners in order to operate. And the good news there is that 58% of the financial institution have a good perception of that. Compare, for example, to what we have seen at the beginning of the new regulation in Europe on the payment directive, that was seen as a constraint. So the African financial institutions are more positive on that. And to go deeper on this topic, we also asked the financial institution if they have already started to initiate some partnership. And as you see, you have more than 41% that have already, sorry for the, I think we have some format issue there, but the first information was that 41% have already implemented the partnership. So this is a very important and high number. And in the short term, you will have 41 additional financial institutions that are willing to have a partnership with FinTech, InsurTech, and RegTech. And the main usage of those partnerships is to develop new products. And the second usage is to digitalize their internal activity. Next slide. So the next slide is the governance and the risk management framework in order to be able to evolve in this new business model. And the bank are increasing the number of independent board members. So very important to have qualified and competent new board member that can help the financial institution to go in this new direction. And also at board level, we have also the creation of new specialized committee. At the executive part, we also have increasing but still low presence of emerging positions such as chief digital officer. Very important to have a chief digital officer in the COMEX when you have digitalization as your top priority. And we also need to have a chief ethic or sustainability officer. And this is also an interesting finding to have more than 20% of the financial institution addressing this topic. On the next slide, we will see that cybersecurity is the top risk. And once again, very consistent with what we have said previously. We also have some concern on financial risk because of credit risk, especially, but cyber risk is a top priority. And to face this challenge, the financial institutions are strengthening their risk appetite framework. Okay, for 41% of them, they think that they have advanced risk appetite framework. So this is a good news, but there is still some room for improvement because 22% of them have still basic risk appetite framework. Next slide. Okay, now the regulation is something that is very important for the financial institution, and the global view on that, and we was quite surprised, is the good perception of the financial institution that has responded to the survey on the effort that the regulators are making in order to transpose international standards. Okay, especially they see very good transposition of regulation such as financial crime, prudential regulation, and also the implementation of accounting framework. But they are less optimistic on the implementation of important regulation related to digital finance, okay, personal data protection, and also financial markets. Next slide. And now, concerning the macroeconomic environment, you know that we have seen recently some exit of international groups from Africa. So we asked the question to the financial institution to self-assess the attractiveness of the African financial industry. There we have we have good surprise, because good news, because for more than half they think that the attractivity is still growing. Okay, so this is a good finding, and this attractivity is driven by the conversion toward international regulatory standard. You have also the trade zone that have been addressed yesterday. That is a good driver for the attractiveness of the financial industry. However, we have some issues. For example, the restrictive currency policy. I think you will also address this topic. And the limited access to capital market, as you see, for example, the very few financial institutions think that they can use, for example, the financial market to do trading, to raise funds, and to hedge their risk. And the role of the capital market in the success of the strategy of the financial institution is key. So this is a teasing for the panel of today. There is an important room for improvement there. Next slide. Regarding innovation, we first wanted to know the level of maturity of the digitalization process within the financial institution. So without surprise, only 5% consider themselves as a leader, because we asked those financial institutions to assess themselves in a scale of 5 from beginning to leader, and 41% consider to be on intermediary scale. So they consider that their digital maturity is emerging. And this is also consistent with the rate of financial institutions that have already started a digitalization program. So more than 50% of them have already started a digitalization program, and in short term there will be 80% on implementing digitalization within the next 12 months. Next slide. So the last topic we wanted to address was the impact. The first question was the perception of this entity on the impact in the financial inclusion, and they think that there is a slight increase in the financial inclusion. And the most important information is that the use of innovative technologies and, once again, partnership between traditional and non-traditional financial institutions are the main accelerator to financial inclusion. And the last slide, next slide, please. Okay. So on this last slide, we have a focus on the way the financial institutions are implementing these important topics, that is sustainability, sustainable finance. Okay, so what we find here is that the level of interest and knowledge in standardized green finance product is increasing and is quite good. For example, 49% of the financial institutions are already integrated ESG criteria in their investment, and they are also integrating socially responsible investment in their strategy, and have very good trend on financing renewable energy or energy efficiency. So this is on the good side. But we also see a very low level of interest or knowledge in new topics such as green bonds, green tech venture capital, for example, and green insurance product. Okay, but globally we are also seeing an increasing interest in this topic, and this is a topic of the future. So in our next barometer, we will continue to follow this tendency. So next slide. Globally, we have a positive barometer with encouraging findings, for example, the willingness of those financial institutions to transform, to collaborate within their ecosystem, the investment that they are making in innovation in order to accelerate financial inclusion, their interest in green finance. But there are some clouds, naturally, and especially regarding the regulatory landscape, some burden regarding the macroeconomic environment, but globally, the trend is good. So that's the main takeaway. It's quite challenging to present all of these results in 10 minutes. We will release the complete report next week. So we will have some breakdown by industry, by geographic location. So we'll be happy to share that with you. But today you have the opportunity, and we'll be happy to take some question on this topic. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Brice, to weigh in here at all before I pop you some questions?
Sorry, I didn't catch your question.
Do you want to weigh in on the report before I go ahead with questions?
No, we're just waiting for questions. I'm happy to share and exchange with the with the room on any topics we covered today. As mentioned by Aristide, I think it's very exciting to see some emerging trends and the way the CXOs of African financial institutions are really taking that seriously, doing their best efforts as well to include that into their own strategy and operating model. I think it's very, very exciting to see that. And as Aristide mentioned, we will, of course, follow up such the emergence and the rollout of such transformation in the next editions of the barometer.
I mean, so you're planning to have more editions of this nature? Is that what
we hope so?
Expect? Because this is the first of its kind, which is really.
And depending on the interest, of course, of the participants. But as I mentioned in my introduction, I think providing data and qualitative data, I think it's really critical, especially in Africa. I think we are in a lot of things are emerging. There are a lot of people who are interested in investing in developing businesses in Africa. And I think it's very interesting for all the players to have enough data, enough qualitative data to make their own decisions. So that's our role, and we are planning to do it again next year.
So Aristide, you said something that really struck me, and we actually heard this yesterday, that we have had a few international players exiting the continent, and you're trying to figure out what opportunities are on the ground and understanding the playing field. But you also said importantly that we're seeing partnerships and we're seeing the willingness of local companies wanting to expand. Could you give us more insight into this? Are you saying that the financial sector, which is traditionally enormously competitive, are starting to view each other in a different light?
Yeah, very interesting question. Regarding this question, we ask a very simple question to the traditional financial institution. We ask them, in this framework of arrival of new player, if you have three strategies, what will be the strategy that you will choose the most? The first choice was to partner only within the traditional financial institution in order to fight back this new player. The second choice was to acquire those new players, and the third one was to partner with the new player. And in the large majority, the financial institution prefer having this partnership, the partnership with these new player, because that will ease the way they accelerate the enhancement of the customer experience. Okay, and as I mentioned, the notion of open banking, there is an interesting quote that say that sometimes we need banking but not bank. We need to I don't know if you know this quote from Bill Gates. I need banking but no bank. So, and you will have a business case on the customer experience. The most important, and I think the financial institutions have understood that, is what the client needs. Okay, and in some area, those bank or insurance, they know that a fintech, regtech, or an insurtech has more abilities to perform this kind of services. So this is a good finding, and it will be a trendy approach that we will see, and it's concrete. As you have seen in the survey, already 41% have engaged those partnerships, and in short term, in the midterm, we will have at least 30% that are planning to do so.
Maybe to quite a few comments to add, Eleni, just on that. I think, as I mentioned in my introduction, I think it is an ecosystem. So there is a value for the players within that ecosystem to partner in order to be able to of course, innovate, accelerate, and also develop innovation quickly into their business. So that's a trend we see in different regions of the world in the sector, and that is also something we see a lot more in Africa as well.
Okay, we've got a question that's come through from Mahesh Kotecha, the president of Structured Credit International Corp. Financial inclusion may be rising faster, for example, in Nigeria, with acceleration of agent banking combined with digital. It's not really a question, it's more of a statement. Who would like to, Aristide, I see you smiling.
Yeah. This is we during the survey we also have opportunity to discuss, and this is exactly one of the key accelerators. You have also some bank that is thinking about the digitalization, the combination of physical agents and also digital capabilities. So definitely, this is a good contribution and a good trend. Yes, we confirm.
But on this topic, DFIs are also very involved in contributing to more financial inclusion, and also all the governments in Africa just looking to raise that topic and resolve that topic. So the way we see a solution is really the partnership between private banking, insurance company, microfinance, also DFIs and tech companies, in order for them to form the ecosystem I mentioned that will provide the solutions and also the sustainable solutions. I think we all are looking for sustainable solutions regarding this topic as well.
Okay, so another question on cryptocurrencies. We have seen a rise in the use of crypto in Africa. We've also seen the increase in generally currency trading on the continent, which has been an interesting trend. Have you heard anything of this nature from financial institutions as we see this huge volatility in currencies where we're saying, okay, there are other options we need to explore? Has that been something that financial sector players are taking seriously?
Yes, and we have covered this topic in the survey because in the area of innovation, it's important to project on the future, and crypto assets, and especially cryptocurrency, is an important topic. And the perception, first of all, the perception of the financial institution is quite mixed, because they think that at long term it's a must. Everybody will have to go to that. I think it's just a matter of time. But today in Africa, they don't see at short or medium term any interest in that. First of all, as you have mentioned, the regulatory landscape is not favorable on that. For example, in South Africa or Nigeria recently, the central bank decided to forbid the use of cryptocurrency, and also the financial institution said that they see some cultural barrier on using this kind of dematerialized assets. So to conclude on this topic, cryptocurrency has to be seen in Africa on a very long term interest.
All right, thank you very much to both of you for joining us this morning. Thank you so much for your incredible insights and for this report, and we look forward to many more of these, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of interest. Yeah, and thank you for quantifying some of the important questions that we've been asking for a year now, but we haven't had an opportunity to actually see the numbers. So Aristide, Brice, thank you so very much. We are going to now head into our very first panel of the day. I will be hosting that, so stay on board with us. We are just going to get everyone to join us for the next session, so we'll see you in a short while.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.